Hello, BookTube. This is Aaron from Aaron Read a Book or Aaron Read a Book. I've got a tag for you today. It's the Middle Ages and Golden Age book tag that Jack over Rambler Raconteur created for Historathon. Um, I was kindly tagged by my fellow Aaron Facer. I'll leave links to their channels, but I'm guessing you all subscribe to all of them anyway. Right, let's get going. First prompt. I might struggle with some of these, by the way. The Holy Roman Empire. Name a book that has a title or a first sentence that is a lie. This question reminded me of one of my favourite memes. I'll show you the meme in a minute, but it's To Kill a Mockingbird, and the meme is just saying there's nothing in here to tell you how to kill a mockingbird, and it's got a very cute cat on it. I'll pop it up on the screen. Um, Number two, the Mayans. What is your favourite month for the year for reading? I think a lot of people said the same thing as me here, which is probably December or maybe early January. December, obviously, you've always got a bit more time to read. So I normally, and also I think the pressure of like trying to get a good sort of number of books completed for the year, like self-imposed pressure that just is stupid. But I always whiz through a load of books in December, and it's just nice, like when the weather's cold outside, to sort of snuggle in and read a book. Um, Three, the Pala Empire. I don't know if I said that right. Name a book or writer that marked the end of an era. Um, for this one, I've gone with Robert Silverberg. He's sort of the last of the sort of 60s and 70s golden age of sci-fi writers that seems to still be alive. Maybe there's more that I'm forgetting, but yeah, I've only just started really getting into Silverberg, but he's pretty reliable, and he's got loads and loads of books. So um, that's one of my favourite sort of writing eras as well. I love all the sort of golden age sci-fi stuff. The Vikings. Whose library on BookTube would you like to raid? So there's lots of great libraries on BookTube, but I think I would go with Daniel from Guilty Feet. Not necessarily for his books, but because I want to have a go on that slidey thing that he's got, that he has at the beginning of his videos. I think that would be more fun. The Inca Empire. What work is at the pinnacle of its genre? So I imagine this is a pretty common one. It's a good opportunity to show off my edition of Lord of the Rings. Look at that. Yeah. Um, I don't think there's a better fantasy book than Lord of the Rings, is there? Certainly nothing more influential. Um, but you could go for Dune, I suppose, as well, in sci-fi, or Pride and Prejudice. Um, the Abbasid Caliphate. Who is your favourite writer on science or mathematics? I do like popular science books quite a lot. I don't go anything in depth because I have no real knowledge. But I would say my favourite is Oliver Sacks. He was a neurologist, and he was sort of one of the rare science writers where he was like quite massively well regarded in his field, as well as being a very entertaining writer. And he sort of got famous for writing case histories, and his writing style is beautiful. He's a beautiful writer, and he was just such a great man. Um, so I haven't read this one yet, but he's interested in music, and this is uh, all about sort of brain injuries with to do with music. Um, but I highly recommend any of his books. He wrote his most famous one is The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat, and they're just very interesting books that make you realise sort of more about the brain, like these injuries people get that have extraordinary sort of symptoms. Yeah, he's brilliant, and he sort of writes really well about care, like the caring and the relationship with the patient being very important. But yeah, he's great. Byzantium. Name a work that you couldn't stop reading despite it being confusing. Um, I've gone with Shakespeare. So I will always read Shakespeare, at least sort of one play a year. But you do have to look up a lot of things. This edition's really good. It's got all these notes at the bottom, so you can, if there's any confusing words or terms or sayings, and you can look them up. But yeah, Shakespeare always confusing, but always great. The Song Dynasty. What culture from 500 to 1500 CE are you interested in learning more about? I'm basically interested in learning all history. I love history. Um, but I'll go with the Byzantium Empire because I, I, I did a degree in modern history and sort of post English Civil War. And at, at college, I did English sixth form college. I did medieval history, um, but it was mostly focused all on English history. And I listened to a great podcast called The Rest is History. It's Tom Holland's podcast, and they recently did an episode on Justinian and Theodora, and it was really interesting. And if anyone knows any good books about uh, specifically Justinian and Theodora, that would be something I want to read more on, definitely. Um, the Mali Empire. Name a book that helps readers appreciate the cultural heritage of Africa. This really sort of showed how ignorant I am to myself on that African history. I've read very little African stuff at all, and the history is something I've not really looked into much either. The first thing that came to mind is the Bindi trilogy, which is sci-fi, um, Afrofuturism or something they call it. So that was and I thought this was okay. I didn't think it was as good as everyone was saying. But it did have some interesting, like it's really interesting to read sci-fi from a different cultural heritage because um, it just has completely different themes and ideas to normal sci-fi. But so although I didn't love the series, it did make me more interested in, especially trying to read more sort of sci-fi based around different cultures. But obviously, I should read some history as well. The Merovingians. What is your favourite pop culture reference to this period? Well, I grew up on the Holy Grail, Monty Python, so it's got to be Monty Python. But I do want to give a shout out to Elle as well as my favourite webcomic, Harker Vagrant. Um, she's a great sort of Canadian artist that does history webcomics, and they're really good and um, great drawing as well. Okay, thank you, BookTube. That's Tag Tuesday done. See you next time.